Welcome back, guys. Right, before we can move along with the deck beams and deck, what we need to do is move our big spider cleats, as we call it. Move the lines. What we need to do is put some cleats in. So we need to put the cleats in, and we've also got a big bow roller to put in. So we'll start with that, I think, then we can move all the lines and we can clear the deck off. So here's the cleats that we're fitting. They don't look the nicest, but we're going to be fitting them for now, and then later on, a couple of years down the line, they'll all be coming off, then we'll probably get them re-anodized or something, but for now, perfectly strong. And we've got a big bow roller to fit, so that's going to attach to the stem, and then screw down to the... Right, so we'll start with these cleats, try and work out a good location for them, because we only want to drill the holes once. We don't mind taking them back off again. So we need to drill the holes once, and then we need to make some brackets to go underneath, and then I think we're going to connect them to the beam shelf. Right, so we now know that is now the edge of our deck. So that's where it's going to be cut back to allow for the angle, and then the bulwarks are going to go on the outside. So what we need to do now is work out maybe where the bow roller is going to go in relationship to the outside of the deck. So I've never seen this on. It was off when we bought the boat, so let's see if this fits. It's a bit of a lump. Okay, so I'd have expected this to be on the outside of the hull, but apparently they go where the bulwarks go. Sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Just been looking at some old pictures of Surinder on how the deck was arranged. The cleats basically went between this stanchion and this stanchion here, so that's quite simple. The bow roller pictures aren't great. The bow roller looks a lot further forward, but I think our stem that we put in was actually a lot chunkier. I don't think we've actually seen the proper stem that they put in, because they basically screwed it to the deck and we've gone right through and connected it to the stem proper, haven't we? So I'm not quite happy with the bow roller. So personally, I think this line here should be in line with where the bulwarks are. So what I want to do is move this forward, but to move it forward, this is in the way. So I think what we've got to do is cut this out here and then re-weld this onto here, because I quite like this, because this ties the stem into the deck. So we'll mark this now, then we'll take this back to the workshop and do some cutting and welding. But we need to do some cutting and welding on the cleat brackets underneath. So we'll mark this out, then we'll work out where the cleats are going to go, then we'll go back to the workshop and do some welding. Tidal bore's just coming in. Can you see it? Flat calm there. It's not quite big enough to surf, but it's pretty cool to see that occasionally when like you just... Right, so I'm going to mark out where we need to cut it. So what we're going to do is bring this further back, and this is going to stick around the stem. Another thing as well, we need to correct the angle of this. And if you can notice it to the stem, I've just been standing a square up here to eyeball it. It is actually wonky in relationship to this. So we can fix two birds. Right, so I've just been scratching my head for quite a while, trying to figure out where these cleats have got to go, because the whole taper's on the inside. We've got to drill down, and we don't want the bolts to clash with the beam shelf and whatever bracketry I make. So this line here I've calculated on where the beam shelf is going to be. Then I've offset it 20mm, and then our holes are probably another 15mm off there. So I think we're going to be about 35mm off the beam shelf. But I think I'm going to fire one hole through first, and we'll go downstairs and we'll measure it. And if we cock up the holes, we can always fill it and fiberglass it, can't we? So yeah, let's do that. Doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right, that. Let's go look downstairs. So, I was correct. That wasn't right. But we can see where the hole has just started. Right, I figured out what I did wrong. I measured the thickness of the packer, which is 50mm, and I measured the frame, which is 40mm. So it comes up to 90mm. But what I didn't allow for is on an angle, isn't it? So it actually measures a lot wider because it's on the angle. Anyway, live and learn. At least we only drilled one. Right, so I've actually moved it quite a lot. Because now seeing roughly where that comes out, I can see like it could cause problems with getting bolts in because of the shape of the bracket I'm going to make. So, right, let's drill another one, then we'll go and assess it downstairs. Yay. Right, I've just dropped a bolt through it, so that looks good, doesn't it? That's the very outside one. So let's drill the rest. Right, now we need to make some brackets now to go underneath the cleats. So when they're being tugged on by Mother Nature or something, that they don't come away, that they're not just relying on the 18mm on the fiberglass. So we want them to be like part of the boat, and I think we're going to try to attach them to the beam shelf, because like if they move, then the whole boat moves with the beam shelf, doesn't it? Problem is, I've got to work through this hole now. I've got to climb in there, do my work, probably get out, cut it. I've got a jigsaw and a bucket to cut on, so let's see how we get on. Right, so there's our holes now. Seems to fit quite nice between the two beams. So we're going to make like a plate that goes round. I could make a plate that goes along here and maybe cups this. But I think for this application, I think it's better coming round onto the beam shelf, and then we can put some big bolts right through the beam shelf. So we're going to make our pattern out of hardboard. I've just sort of overcut these at the moment, so right, so I've made one now. That fits quite nice. I'm not on it too tight, just to give us a bit of scope for manoeuvrability. So now we need to make this one down here. I've bought a hot glue gun so I can make this and keep the shape, but what I'm going to do is put a little blob of hot glue up there now, just to try and hold it in position while we make the next one. Do. Right, so I've got the plate on. What I've done is I've drilled some holes in it, so basically that's where the nails are. So we don't really want to influence the nails with our bracket, do we? I made some little gussets now. These gussets are going to go about there-ish. And I'm just going to hot glue them in. Oh no, don't do that. Right, so I've just been upstairs and I've drilled through. That just gives us our exact location of the holes now. Right, so we'll take this to the workshop now and we'll make these out of steel. Right then, back at the workshop. Feel a bit crap today. I think I've got a cold coming on, so well, we'll start with the easiest one, which is the anchor roller, or the bow roller. So we marked out here, so we're going to cut that, then we're going to move this piece here backwards onto this line at the same angle, and I put my bevel on here and drew an angle, so this angle here is the angle we need, just in case we forget it. Right, I'm going to attempt to plasma cut this, so let's see how we get on. Hopefully we can plasma. My little tip's a bit worn out, but I've just ordered some more off Amazon, but they won't be here till tomorrow, so we'll see how we get on with these. Right, so my little tips at it. I think I said that too early before, didn't I? Right, so I've got some more the way. I can cut this now. I'll cut this on the bandsaw. Right, so the bandsaw, as per usual, the jaws won't go wide enough, but I'm going to leave it on an angle, should cut. I think it's going to take a minute, so we'll leave that run for a bit. Ten minutes later, you could cut it straight down, but when you cut it straight down, the blade always veers and it makes a bit of a mess, so better taking your time. Right, we need to weld this up now. Got it mounted up, got it all lined up perfectly. I've got it mounted on a bevel there, so to hold the angle. So it will twist. We'll tack it on this side, it'll twist away. So we just need to like weld both sides really. Right, here goes. I've not used this machine for a long time, so might still work, we'll see. I've done MIG welding for a while. Strange, ain't it, with a wooden boat. Right, let's flip it back over, then we'll put the bevel back onto it to see if it's moved, and then we can always do a pass on either side to bend it back. I had to carry this thing over the mud yesterday. Yeah, that's really good, that. Didn't move. That's because we welded both sides pretty much at the same time. Sort of equal passes really, equal heat, so it's all good. Right, so for us to mount this on the deck, because of the angle of the bow, what's it called? Because of the angle of the stem post, we need to basically lift this up. We could screw it down now, but if we screw it down now, then when the deck goes on, then the holes are going to be in the wrong position. Does that make sense? Because it's going to have to go slightly further forward because of the angle of the stem. So ideally what we need to do is put a finished piece of deck on, which would be interesting. So we're going to use some Iroko. So I've dug out some Iroko and we need to cut it up a bit, and then we need to probably glue it together. And if you remember, there's a slight camber to the deck, so then we need to machine the bottom of that to allow for the camber, because this is flat, so it'll bolt down nice and it'll stuck up nice. Right, let's cut up some pieces of wood and then we'll join them together, then we'll leave that to glue, and then tomorrow then we can machine it up nice. So here's a piece of Iroko we're gonna make to go under there. So I'm gonna plane it up now. I'm gonna take the minimum thickness off it because we need to allow for we've got to grind a load away underneath it, so all we need is one good side really. So yeah, plane it up and then we'll cut it in half, then we'll try and glue it together. So plane time first. Right, so now we need to join these two boards together. The way we're going to do it is we're going to use biscuits. These are the ones you put in your tea. These are basically, you cut a slot into the wood, then you put these in it, and then you can glue it up. And I think what these do is basically align them, because these boards are a little bit of twist. They didn't match up perfectly. I've never actually used one of the, I have used one of these a very long time ago, which I lent off my friend, but I bought this in like a job load of tools year or so back. So we'll see how we get on with these. So we've now got loads of little grooves in it now. I don't know whether the sawdust will come out, but... So then the biscuit goes in there. I was going to do a dry fit, but these biscuits seem a very one-way street. I need to knock it in, so I probably won't be able to get it back out. So I think what we do now is mix up a load of glue, and then we'll glue it all together, and hopefully they'll all line up. Run out of stirring sticks. Well, that went okay-ish. They all seem to line up quite nice. There's no real curves in it or anything, so we'll leave that to dry. Right, so it's actually a few days later. I've had all sorts going wrong. Vans, punchers, fuel injectors going wrong on it. I've actually done a bit of maintenance on the van, so hopefully that'll get us back into Surinder. Right, so in the meantime, I've glued another piece on top of that to double the thickness. But before we touch that, what we're going to do is focus on these brackets that we templated for. So we're going to be using this big sort of, it's 6mm plates. I've had this in the yard for years, I've always saved it. I thought I'll use that one day, and today is the day. So right, we're going to plasma, oh yeah, my plasma bits have arrived as well. So we're going to plasma all these out. And we'll clean them up, then we're going to weld them up. Just make me little gussets. Right then, so we've got all of our pieces cut out now. So what we need to do is get them all cleaned up. What I'm going to do is give them a quick whiz with the wire wheel on the grinder, and then we're going to put them in the sandblaster. Bit of a love-hate with the sandblaster, as you probably know if you know me well. Right, let's give these a quick whiz first. The smoke alarm's a bit too sensitive. So I've moved my cheapo blasting cabinet over here, and I've put a drain pipe on it, so I can use some extraction. So we can use our thingy that we use for the wood extractor and try and get rid of some of the dust, because once you start blasting in there, you can't see anything because of the dust. So we'll see if that improves matters. I mean, that'll do, won't it, as far as paint prep's concerned. Right, so we drilled them quite nicely. So what we need to do now, these are the side plates which go up against the beam shelf. These here are the clearance holes for the nails. We don't want to influence the nails with this plate. These here are what we're going to be fixing straight through. There's another clearance hole. So let's drill these holes here. And then we'll use the plasma then to cut these big ones out. So I'm going to be using the plasma. I've not really done much plasma apart from today. This machine's really good because it's a TIG welder, stick welder, and a plasma cutter. It does other stuff as well, but I can't remember what. But normally with plasma cutters you need an external compressor. I have got an external compressor, but this has actually got it built into itself, so you can take it anywhere and plasma cut with it. So this is going to be, well, this is a tool really, a proper tool, because we can weld alley with it as well, so that's good. Yeah, it's a First Dest CT2050 and 7-1 cutter. I think we have got a discount code for these on our website, maybe. I don't know. I have to get Gemma. She might put a little thing in. But yeah, right. Let's get these holes cut. So I'm just gonna do it freehand, basically because I'm lazy. I can't bother making a circle. Doesn't really matter, does it? If this looks a bit ropey, it doesn't matter. It's in the chain locker. It's doing a job, innit? As long as the welding's good. Not got to that bit yet. So, but I've got me safety Suzuki glasses on. So let's go. Yeah, we can't see the line very well. Not too bad for freehand. Bit of a squircle, isn't it? But it's good enough. Right, so I've swapped the TIG now, or the plasma cutter, for the MIG welder. Got it all clamped up. Put it on top of the barrel roller to keep it nice and steady. So we're going to put a few tacks under there, then we'll put the little gussets in. And that'll make sure it doesn't move when we weld it. Right, let's get the welding mask on and throw some molten metal at it. Right, it's pretty much there now. So let's weld these gussets in. Right, they're all welded up now. They're not the prettiest, but I think they're strong. Spent ages cleaning up the barrel roller. So stripped the barrel roller down, got the rollers off, we got the pins out of it. We may as well paint it. I wasn't going to paint it, but we may as well, aren't we? Because we're going to mix up some paint, so shoot that as well. I think we're going to paint some black. So my thinking behind the black is that eventually all the corking's going to be black, isn't it? So we'll paint the barrel roller black and it should match in with that. I don't know. Might change our mind. We can always take it off and get it re-galved, can't we, or something. So, right, let's start firing some paint in. I'm going to put some prime on it first. as per usual, our favourite paint, Raptor. So we'll shoot that out. Right, we'll give the primer probably an hour to kick and then we'll throw the black on it. I've lit the fire because, well, it is summer, isn't it? Ooh, look at that. So I've lit the fire just to try and help it cure better. It's like it's peeing down out there, but I need the door open to get rid of the fumes. So yeah, we'll be using the Raptor liner, black. Hopefully there's enough in one to do all 3 parts. And then we can take them back to the boat and fit them, can't we? Right, so hopefully they're dry in the morning now. It's given a nice day tomorrow, so fingers crossed we got all these fitted. We got it to the boat!
That was heavy, that, wasn't it? Well.
How do you know? Anyway, yeah, it's all gone off quite nice now. What was it, about 14, 15 hours, something like that? Bit twitchy this morning. So glad I lit the fire. Right, so what we need to do now is we need to sort out Gemma's plank. That's going to go underneath the bow roller. What I'm tempted to do is actually cut the deck back to the finished width. So then we know where to cut this piece of wood that we glued together. And then that's going to go underneath the roller insert. I don't know. Getting a bit tired. It's been a very long week up to now.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to start by cutting back the deck now. So we're going to try and, this is our line here, but we need to cut on the angle that way. So just going to use the jigsaw and then we're going to sand it back. So I'm going to cut slightly on the high side of the line. Just gonna hold this for me. Right, so that's all cut back now, ready or level with the inner planks, and it vanishes quite nicely to the stem. So on both sides. Right, we need to start fitting our piece of wood now. Right, we need to get this peel ply off.
My job.
What?
No, I've got to do that.
Polish Gemma's job to do the peel ply.
We're ready for this. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's what I put a hole in the wrong place and I fixed it.
No, I'm talking about that.
Oh. So let's have a go, because we need to put a bit of glass over this here, because I drilled a hole in the wrong place and I've glued a wooden dowel into it. And then we've got a definite dry bit here.
Yeah.
I think this was Gemma's area.
That's where that was my hand there, look.
Ah, well you try. It is, you can see your fingers there.
Yeah, look. That's where I went like that.
Oh, Gemma.
And there's yours.
Mine's better than yours.
So yeah, a few little repairs to do, but actually, look how smooth it is.
It is good, isn't it?
With the peel ply compared to when we done the roof and how much sanding we had to do up there.
We can sort of see on the side here. This is all sort of like, it feels like you could get a splinter off it. This is good. Right, so now we need to cut this piece of wood now so it slides. We need the piece of wood to slide forward, but because of the angle, Yeah, so we've got to move piece of wood further forward 60mm. So to move it 60mm, we need to put an angle on this here and then cut it out, don't we? Around there. Right, so I've cut the two parallels and now we need to go down an angle like that. Been trying to sell the bandsaw, but then the bandsaw hasn't got enough distance from here to here to get in. I was going to use a jigsaw, but so Jim had an idea of using the multi-tool. So we're going to like put the multi-tool in and follow the angle of the bevel. That's plan A, so let's see how we go. So about there.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me get my hammer. Oh. This is a bit tight, Jim.
Better to be too tight than too loose.
Yeah. Right, so that fits rather nice now. Just to let you know, the reason we're putting this piece of wood down, I think I said this maybe earlier, but I'm going to repeat myself. You want to bolt this down so then it makes the bow strong on it, because it attaches the stem to the deck. But also we need it to be raised, because when we come in with our finished deck in many years to come, like demonstrated here, we don't want this low, so we don't want the deck to touch here, we want it to touch a piece of Iroko. So that's the main reason, and obviously it adds a bit of strength as well, doesn't it? Okay, so what we need to do now is try and match this piece of Iroko to the camber of the deck. It doesn't need much taken away from it, but as you can see here, there's a slight gap this end and the slight little roll basically. So it's got a high in the middle. So let's get grinding away at that, try and make it rounder. I've got a new tool, found it in the middle of Lidl. It's called a burr. No, it's not a burr, is it? It's a rasp.
It's a rasp disc.
Yes. Right, so that fits nice now. It's quite good, that tool. I think next time we go to Lidl, I'm going to go and buy another one. Right, I think we need to now cut, make it into a triangle now to follow the shape of the bow. So we need to cut along here, but we also need to put the angle on it. So now I've marked the underneath, I've set the angle so that the angle goes wider. This is pretty true to the boat, so we're going to do a slight overcut, and then once it's fitted then we'll sand it all back. That's the Fairy. So the hardest bit of cutting angle is getting the run on it like that, so okay, here we go.
Right then, so what we're going to do now is glue down, well, epoxy down this plate, sand all the edges to suit the deck, and hopefully get it in paint. So while the epoxy is drying on the bow roller piece, we're going to move on to fit the cleats. because before we can move on to the next section of deck, all of our securing points for the boat are here, so we need to move this off. So trying to fit 2 cleats at the front. So we're not sealing these cleats down because they have to come back up, because they go half and half over the fiberglass that we've done. So on the next section of deck, when we come to fiberglass that, the cleats have to come back off to be able to get the overlap underneath them.
Right, so we've got the port side done now. Still got to put these bolts in it here, but we're going to move on now to the starboard side. Bit of glue on it, won't do any harm. Jim is very noisy, but right above my head. You played a tune up there? So, yeah. Okay. Right, okay. Okay, got you there. So he's now just sending the drill through, because basically the cleats are very tight and a bit of crud on them, so. Okay. We're a bit short on bolts, so we're using the old ones at the moment. We know they fit the cleats and all that sort of jazz, but these ones are a bit long. So because our bolts, you can see like the shank of it there sticking out, so I'm going to put like a big knot on it, and then a washer, then our knot, and then it'll take up the space. Ready? Back one. Excellent. Right, so I think that's quite secure now, especially when the glue goes off. So yeah, any loads going through the cleat at the top, pushed into here, through the deck, through these gussets, into this plate, then into the beam shelf.
Strength test.
Quite impressed with my deck now, it's quite good. Yeah, so the cleats are in, and we had a slight issue with these 2 bolts here. Because of the wrong ones, we didn't have any bolts the right length. We had to put them in, it's fine for now. What we were going to do, we were going to get all this painted and the barrel roller fitted, but then if you can tell, it's just started to rain, so we need to get this covered up. So I think this is probably a good time to say goodbye, and thank you very much for watching. Thanks to all our patrons and everybody who watches and presses the like and all that sort of stuff. If you don't mind, subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you next time. Ta-ra.